Yes, let's get into this, man. Welcome. This is Last Call Reacts, where I try to drop at least one video a week on a topic. I sort of kept this one on delay. I don't think there's a whole bunch of information I'm going to be giving you on this case, but perhaps some of my thoughts and everything as information develops. And the case, of course, I'm talking about is the Nolan Wells case. Now, there's a lot of things I could say for this. I do have a couple clips that I want you to check out first, and it needs some patience with this one. Understand I'm laughing there. I'm putting on Reverend Al. I don't want people to be exhausted, them as you shouldn't be, because this is a time where people reach out for Crump. He's doing the representation here. We spoke about that in a previous video also, and how it looks. The video I play, the second video I play, you'll understand what that is, the uniform of that and the eloquence that came out of that news conference today. But I want to play a couple of things, so hang on for me, because Reverend Al is going to say this, and I do believe he deserves the couple minutes to articulate this case and his position in it, and it's nice, subdued Al. So here we go.
Talk more about why this death of Nolan Wells is resonating so broadly and so loudly for Black families around this country.
Well, given the history of Mississippi and given the unknown aspects of what happened to Nolan, it certainly brings back some of the worst fears we've had, not only in history, but in recent times. That does not mean that this will go either way. I think the reason that National Action Network and I got involved is to make sure the family gets all the support it needs to find out what it is. They've said that we're not saying it's race, but we're not saying it wasn't race. And it could be race at two levels. One, it could be at the actual trip. Two, it could be the investigators that are law enforcement in Mississippi, which a lot more people have a lot of concern about. So when the family and Attorney Ben Crump came to me in the press conference yesterday was at National Action Network's headquarters, it was to raise the concerns. It's one Black young man, 18 years old, with three young whites. They ended up back saying that he wanted to stay, yet one of them had his cell phone, one of them had his car keys. It just does not add up. Mm-hmm. And we're saying that we intend to be present and keep the efforts forward to help this family until they can find out.
I wonder one thing. I didn't want the whole thing played. It's about 2 minutes or so. So a couple things with this. He started in by saying, referencing that other people are going through this as well. And I do have another video that I want you to show. Some people are posting about some similarities in other cases. So actually, let me get through this, and then we'll get through a couple of the other things too. But I like what Al is saying, or Reverend Al, all informal and everything. I like what he's saying for the most part. He's just saying, no color. We just want a responsibility. He lays it on the line. I don't know if people are either right or left, whatever of it, but so racist on any way that they're just saying that they can't admit that something is odd about this. Even if you take anything away, how he laid it down with how people think about it today, it's just like, well, something's a little suspicious, right? There's another part. They're all gathered in the house. Nobody's looking, no answers and stuff after that. They're withholding the phone. And if things aren't even suspicious like that, you deleted the messages, which even makes it even more. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me get this going.
Some reasonable way. The one thing we know, this young man is dead, and three young men with him is not. They possessed his keys and his cell phone. His mother also raised, why was all of his things, his text messages, his photos and all erased from his cell phone? So there's a lot of concern here. And I think that as people tell the Black community,
that's another thing that bothers me too. Before they get the family or get the things together to give to the family in some sort of good hopes, because this is even before, he was found, right? their thought. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go a little deeper with this. So their thought wasn't to get his property over to his family, who should rightfully have it for any contact, anything that may help the situation. They did what they wanted to do with it before they turned it over. And again, race isn't, I don't look for race with everything, but it is in a lot of stuff too. To me, that also presents the mentality of ownership. Like, you'll get this when we're done with it, and it's within our right to tamper with it. Not even thinking that it would indicate that we tampered with the evidence or anything like that. We're going to use it for our needs, and we're kind of above the law, and we'll do what we want with it until we hand it over to you when we feel it's necessary to hand it over to you. So to me, it just seems like a very weird energy on that whole side. So if you don't find one thing, suspicious, something else is definitely, more suspicious in this case.
Don't jump to conclusion. We could also say the other side shouldn't jump to conclusions. Let's get this objectively done. So we're going to be involved. Tyler Perry has said he wants to pay for the funeral. Colin Kaepernick paid for the new autopsy.
And on that, the autopsy to me is the thing I really wanted to wait a couple of days, or at least wait until some sort of an autopsy is out here, because I do think that's going to answer, well, in a lot of questions, as in a lot of cases, as it's supposed to, answer a lot of questions. I'm hoping this, if certain things were found, it switches the narrative of what people are trying to say about this. But I'm trying to hope for the the benefit of the doubt here, that it's not ill intentioned. But it's hard to do that when things are being hidden and people are erasing stuff like that. If it was so innocent, you would start the tributes to this, to that. You would start the networking, how especially the younger generation would. Anyway, here's I believe this was today here on Wednesday, Ben Crump giving, and the mom and dad and a couple other attorneys giving a news conference on the latest updates of meeting with the state as well. They present a good front. I'm not going to play the whole thing because I believe it's almost 20 minutes, but there are a couple parts in this where go look at the whole thing. I'll make sure that I post the link. But I right off the bat, I say it in every video. We talk about Crump representing and stuff like that. And this is a good uniform to have the communication, the latest communication, all the concerns, everything brought up like this on the steps here of the justice, expressing everything that he needs to about the case and updating all of those that are concerned. I think Crump had maybe a little bit of what do you call it? Like the personal training, the what do you call those people? What do you call those people? Publicists or whatever, training with that, because he seems to be speaking a little bit better and a little more affable in this thing, not just talking to himself. But anyway, some of my criticisms that doesn't really matter. But anyway, I'm going to play some of this and check this out first, and I'll jump around a little bit.
Hurts, Justin Preston, and Cliff Jones. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. We have present with us his mother and father, Christine and Elmore. We've just had an opportunity to meet with District Attorney Angel McElgrath and some members of her team. We had a very respectful meeting. The thing I assume some of you may know, the thing to announce, she shared with the family that there will be a grand jury that she will turn this case over to once they have collected all the information and finished their investigation.
Planning to move? Choose Pods and see why we earned 4.9 out of 5 stars on Google.
My bad, people.
We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hertz is helping the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone download. So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has. We also...
It amazes me that people forget, you know, like you're not getting rid of any goddamn information. You got cameras following you, whether you like it or not. You got your transactions from whatever you do electronically, from ATM machines, you know, from ordering stuff, whatever it is, online, pinging off towers, not going anywhere. And you got to know with every forensic shit out there that you erase those messages, they can get those, right? It's what they do with all that to chase a predator, to catch a predator and all that stuff too, right? So sounds like he's making the right, because it does sound like there's something that they're trying to hide.
Talked about trying to make sure we dot every I and cross every T. I know that we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day from people who were there on Horn Island, people who are familiar with...
I'm just bumping him up a bit, man. He could be a trip to listen to. Here we go with a couple other things.
And if you have any information, and let us know. And I personally, if we validate you're a legitimate call, we'll call you.
Saying where to get the calls from.
I want to celebrate Nolan, and he would not.
Now I'm just gonna roll over some of this because I don't want this to be another like half an hour video. But one of the things here she makes point of, and what critics are kind of making points of, is she said something about the donations to the GoFundMe and stuff like that. Apparently there were some comments, and one of her responses to that was that they're not begging for money or anything like that. If she's letting people know that they, one way or another, will be okay. So don't, silly, stupid stuff about, digging into people's pockets and stuff like that at a time like this, but she's saying don't stress yourself. We realize the times and everything, we're not begging for it. Things help, and she was very cool at responding with that.
We want to make sure that our families for sure and close friends get there. So I do want to just say, for those of you, again, if you are having protests, even the day of his service, I am asking you guys to just keep it peaceful. Nolan would never want any type of violence.
So yes, they are announcing the arrangements for the view and of course the funeral too. Here I believe Crump takes the mic and gives a little bit more detail before they start wrapping it up or taking questions.
Do you feel like after your meeting today you have any more clarity on what happened?
Well, it was just a meeting where she talked about the process. She didn't tell us any information about the investigation too much, because those things are, as she said, her role and what she has to do. But they still have questions, and that's not insignificant to this meeting. It's just in general, every morning they wake up and there's a hole in their heart, and they are trying to say, what happened to my son? Obviously.
So, what I thought when I saw this is a very gentle and nice approach. They're trying to handle this with as much as they should, and as they should be applauded for, with as much dignity, as much backbone and everything. They want answers. They're not getting irate. They plan on using the system as is. So I believe, one of the critiques are he didn't get, or the family didn't get, a lot of the answers that they were trying to get in the first place, and sounded like there was a roadblock to a lot of the information as they're talking about it too. So I believe instead of walking down here and then going in front of the camera doing this news conference and then just like talk and just shitting on them after that, is counterproductive. And they want different types of results here because they want the line of communication to be open. So this is why they're handling it like this also,
And that's what it is, a repost. And so we want people to continue to call about everything, videos, whatever interactions they saw. And thank God we are getting...
With that in videos, that's one of the newer developments that they're saying they saw Nolan in a pool. after the time, but that's hearsay. There's a lot of people coming out now and claiming that they're the voices on the video that's yelling, and it's been confirmed apparently by people surrounding the environment as well. Man, this is a different one here too. But you know what? I don't want to get stuck on here too. I want to show a couple other things that you should be aware of. I just want to branch this out a little bit.
Young men at Lake Ray Hubbard. Instead, it turned deadly after the group jumped in to swim, and 18-year-old Daniel Irving never resurfaced. Now, months later, police have arrested a 19-year-old they say tried to cover up and hide what actually happened that day. Fox 4's Alex Boyer picks up our top story from there.
According to Dallas police, text messages prove that the victim and suspect knew each other and had made plans to meet up and go to a lake back in April. Now, the victim, Daniel Irving, never came home. His mom reported him missing. It wasn't until nearly 3 months after his body was recovered that police have made an arrest in connection to the case.
19-year-old Lucas Roper is accused of tampering with evidence in connection to the drowning death of 18-year-old Daniel Irving in Lake Ray Hubbard back in April. Irving's body was discovered on April 17th, 4 days after he is believed to have drowned. Irving had reportedly gone to the lake with Roper and a juvenile suspect to swim and go fishing. Days after his body was recovered, Irving's family held this news conference demanding answers.
What do we want? Justice for Daniel Irving. Amen. When do we want it? Now.
Irving's family said then that they wanted a full and transparent investigation. On July 9th, Roper was arrested by Dallas police on one count of tampering with physical evidence. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, Roper was interviewed by detectives after Irving's body was found. Roper told police after the three of them had jumped into the lake from the railroad track bridge, Irving drowned and Roper panicked. Instead of calling 911, the affidavit states Roper told investigators he deleted all communication with Daniel Irving from his cell phone, adding that Roper confirmed he was aware that there would be an investigation into Daniel Irving's death and he did not want to get into trouble, and states Roper threw Daniel Irving's clothes in the tree line as they fled the location. The juvenile suspect also told investigators he admitted he threw Daniel Irving's cell phone from the vehicle after suspect Roper told him to.
We, the family, are deeply inclined these individuals intended on no one looking for Daniel, fighting for Daniel, advocating for Daniel.
Irving's siblings said his young life was full of promise.
That's one of the craziest things with this for me also, is like, I look at the cave exploration videos for some reason. But one of the things I think of when you go through that and you get stuck, I mean, one of the things that would keep me alive would be like, at least somebody's looking for me. At least, you know, they know I'm missing. Somebody will realize, hey, man, I haven't seen Last Call in a couple days, man. Wasn't he going to go cave diving and all that shit? Let's go back over there and go through that. But no, in some of these cases, it's like, it's unbelievable. They're not even asking questions. They're not even asking tough questions beyond anything that's close to suspicious. That is really what people are asking. Just do the fair thing, fair shit for everybody. I ran to this, one of the, what do you call it, clips. You can check out a couple of these and we'll probably go out after that, but just for some things to consider. Where the hell do you start this?
More. On June 29th, just last week, Gerard Jackson went to a music festival with his white friends before one of them contacted his mom and said he was missing and having a mental health crisis. His family says he's never struggled with that before. His friends say they took his phone and keys away and he must have taken his keys back while they were sleeping, even though he didn't take his phone. He was found hanging in a wooden area with his car over a mile from the festival grounds. During the period that he didn't have his phone, there were several attempts to log into his bank account and his Apple Pay was used at a local gas station. His family says there's no way he killed himself, and on top of all of this, they cremated his body without their permission. Ternia Nicole Miller was found hanging in a tree in Miami just 3 weeks ago on June 18th. She was there to celebrate Juneteenth and her death was ruled a suicide. Why the fuck would she post on Instagram that she was traveling for Juneteenth and then proceed to... In November of 2024, 15-year-old Jalen Reeves was stabbed to death 6 times by a 14-year-old white boy. That boy was later cleared of his second-degree murder charges, claiming self-defense. And guess what? His dad is a high-level executive at Axon. What's Axon, you might ask? An American company primarily developing weapons and technology for military and law enforcement, known for its taser electroshock weapons, a market it has dominated since 2003. He works for a police weapons manufacturer. In 2021, Jelani Day went missing and his remains were found weeks later in an Illinois river. Police ruled it an accidental drowning, and his mom calls that an insult. She said Jelani was an avid swimmer, and avid swimmers don't drown themselves. He has never had depression or struggled with mental health. In 2020, 15-year-old Kawan Charles was picked up by his white friend and his friend's mom, who allegedly gave them alcohol, weed, and mushrooms and didn't report him missing for 4 days after he said he was going to kill himself and left their house. He was found lying face down in a sugarcane field with only a few inches of water, and the official report says he likely drowned himself on purpose. How he could have drowned himself in 6 inches of water is beyond me. Willie Jones Jr. was found hanging in his white girlfriend's parents' Mississippi yard in 2018. Her stepfather says he didn't touch him, but Willie's family says he had an athletic injury that limited his shoulder mobility to the point that he physically couldn't have hung himself. Of course, it was ruled a suicide. The family did win a wrongful death lawsuit 3 years later, but to this day, no arrests have been made. In 2013, Kendrick Johnson was found inside a vertical rolled-up gym mat at his high school in Georgia. The initial investigation showed the cause of death as accidental, but when the family hired someone to perform a private autopsy, it showed the cause of death as blunt force trauma. Another interesting fact here, the 2 possible suspects were both the sons of an FBI agent. That was part of the lawsuit they tried to win, but for some reason, it didn't work out for them. Alonzo Brooks went to a party with his 3 white friends in 2004, was called racial slurs. His friends left him at the party with the perpetrators. He went missing and his body was found on the property a month later. The local pathologist couldn't determine a cause of death, but then an armed forces medical examiner concluded it was homicide. To this day, we have no answers. These are only the most public of cases and not even a fraction of them.
All right, got that one on there. Definitely goes along with the theme of what we're doing too, and just something to think about, man. There's a lot of these little videos that are on there showing you in a close proximity of time the amount of suspicious types of deaths around young Black people, but particularly young Black men in this case. And you know, the same thing we're asking that we've asked for anything is the accountability. That something under these suspicions, it should be looked at. People are definitely acting suspiciously. So let's get some goddamn answers coming out of that too. It's got to be terrible not to know when somebody, that's the worst feeling, that somebody has to know something and is just keeping it to themselves before they friggin' come out and help somebody, get somebody a peace of mind. You know, wonder what bonds those people for keeping their silence too. But what do we do with these cases? And I see a lot of comments too to say that's why you don't go out with a group of white people who are out there too, you know, or stick to your own kind and this sort of nonsense. I'm not sure I believe all of that also in all of these cases. But again, where this happened, you know, off the coast, it's in Mississippi with that history also, which is right there, you know, Biloxi and all of those places that you've heard from. Goddamn, the Freedom Riders are right there. So maybe it's not all like that, like it was a few decades ago in those times, but there's definitely some residue in the area of that. And, you know, get some answers is what I think is, and like I said, I was waiting for the autopsy. So I think this is honestly going to answer a whole lot of things as it should, but it sounds like there's something there. And then they're going to have to reveal, you know, the story as it is. And I don't like that the mom had to approach a house with everybody kind of just hanging out there, looking like they're conspiring for some reason, like a goddamn Klan rally. I'm not saying Klan in that regard, but, you know, it's that kind of sentiment. You have to go up and get your goddamn things. I bet those goddamn guys that off Emmett Till, they met in that goddamn farmhouse. They had a meeting like that too. What is we gonna do? You know? So, man, thoughts with this? We'll see if we follow up when the autopsy comes, but I think there will be more to the story, and I think that they will recover some of the electronic communications and everything like that as well. And there's at least it's getting some exposure. It's being handled, and there's good representation. This is what that looks like, because we were speaking on that a little bit last time, and we'll follow them, because it seems like Crump and company want to, play nice and still ask the tough questions, and they realize that they're in the public eye. So give it to me when you can. Thanks for visiting. Meet up the live on Friday at 9 p.m. Appreciate you, man. Peace.